we are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. The movement was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. We have been lulled into a trance. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
They want their weapon.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
It wasn't that long ago where there was lots of misleading information out there. There still is. I mean, I see it every day, and it's frustrating. It's really frustrating because you get people who are telling you what it is. I think that is dangerous in a way. You can tell people what you have fact-wise as evidence, but when somebody says this is a T-34X satellite broadcasting a remote neural monitoring signal at 1.9 gigahertz down into my room, straight beam, picking up my thoughts and sending sounds to me, and when you question where they get their evidence from, it's from nothing. And that's a problem. That's a major problem. 5-6 years ago, when you would search for this kind of stuff, you would find photos of sound cannons and audio spotlight and all this stuff that is Mickey Mouse shit compared to what's going on, the reality of what's going on. I want to talk about the facts. And, you know, a lot of these get overlooked, and I repeat this a lot, but it's because I want people to understand what the facts are. And this is from evidence, not from me conjuring this up, from taking bits and pieces of information that I liked and then putting that together and coming up with some theory about how and why, and then telling people this is fact. I'm just telling you the facts so that you can make what you want out of that. Years ago, somebody directed me to a patent about a system, an audio system that uses auto gain. And I can't find that patent, but that is as close as you can possibly get to what this is. But it's being broadcast everywhere in low frequency and high frequency form. Another thing that I found is that a lot of the people out there who say this is what it is a P15 sound ionization blaster. They're the same people who claim that they are targeted harder than anybody else. But instead of getting lost in the mess of disinformation and misinformation out there, let's get to the facts. The facts is that this is a low frequency, high frequency signal that is riding everywhere, always, like the hum. And within this, it uses an auto gain system. If I create a sound that is 30 decibels, there is going to be another sound that latches itself onto that very quickly at, say, 15 decibels. Just enough so some people would hear it and some wouldn't. And I'm going to show you this. But how do you trick this system? How do you override it? Let's talk about it. It runs on auto gain. So you need to create frequencies where it's trying to jump up as if there's a garbage truck in your house, or you are creating road noise in a car. That can do it. And it doesn't know what to do, and you can hear it just like a radio station or anything else. It's there. So with that said, I want to show you what I created. Now, a lot of people that hear the hum or hear V2K or are attacked with these weapons can hear signals like this and can't place them. It's a motor, an engine running, machinery running, a car idling, a muscle car idling. You know, all these different explanations for the same sound. It's the same sound. So I created my own. Again, I've done this before, but these are different frequencies that I'm using now. And I want to show you what I used to capture what I captured. So this is the track that I played in my house. Nothing else is on in the house. Nothing. Just the computer, my monitors, and my recorder, which was a handheld USB recorder. Let's give this a listen. What I did was I just recorded with a handheld USB recorder. And that's another thing that I'd like to talk about. You get all these audio guys, alright? The same guys that will show up at a band rehearsal or at a tryout for a band with a Marshall stack and a Gibson Les Paul. So these guys will tell people, you need to go buy this microphone and it's low noise, blah, 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 blah. You know, these $600 microphones to catch this evidence. And they couldn't possibly give people any worse advice. This rides on noise. Don't use good microphones, good recorders. Use garbage. Garbage is going to be the noisiest. Garbage is going to pick this up. And I'm telling you, I've experimented with every mic you could possibly imagine. And I'm sitting here recording with a USB recorder, like a stick recorder with no wireless capabilities whatsoever. So that's what I use when I'm really trying to get something. And it's the best thing to use, and they're like $20, $15-20 for one of these. They're like 8 gigs. You can record for 100 hours or whatever. And one thing that I'd like to point out is you get these areas, Taos, New Mexico, Detroit, Zug Island, these different areas where the hum gets louder. And people believe that it's coming from that area. And it is not coming from that area. What is happening is that there are vibrations being created from a natural or a man-made source that makes these frequencies attracted to it. And it rides on them, and for whatever reason, because of circumstance, it happens to get really loud. For example, in Detroit, the Zug Island, the blast furnaces would go, and these are big steel mill furnaces that create a lot of noise and a lot of vibration. And this was a perfect place, by chance, for this frequency to emanate to the point where Canadians could hear it. Lots of Canadians could hear it with their ears. They weren't supposed to hear it. This hum has been active since HARP or before HARP. They've been using this. So when these frequencies are bellowing from somewhere, they're not coming from somewhere. And just because they stopped using the blast furnace and the hum went away does not mean that the hum was coming from the blast furnaces. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is a parasitic hum and frequency. And to prove what I'm talking about, if you have real speakers in your house or anything that can emit bass, try it in a kitchen or a bathroom. Play these sounds, whether it's music or sounds or whatever, in a kitchen, in a bathroom, at a medium volume so that you can notice differences around the room. And walk to the corners and listen. Walk to the side of the fridge and listen. If you're in the kitchen, walk to every corner, and you may notice, and you probably will, that the bass will get really loud in one corner. It's like a band shell. But that doesn't mean that the bass is emitting from that corner. This is not what it appears to be. And I promise you that. I'm saying that as a fact. I'm not telling you that this is an XR24 sound blaster, but what I'm telling you is this is a low, high frequency system that runs on auto gain. That I know, and it is everywhere. Everywhere. You can't get away from it. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that they've hacked the Schumann resonance, or are they using the Schumann resonance to propagate this? Probably. I would say yes. It's the easiest way to do it, and it's the way that I would do it. They always take the path of least resistance. Period. And the other tricky part that people need to understand as well is that there is a send and there is receive. So I would venture to guess that the ELF system that is everywhere, the vibrational system, is send. And the cellular towers and the wiring in your home is receive. So there is send and receive. Send and receive. And in conjunction with the power lines and these signals riding on the power lines and in Wi-Fi and cell towers, they can do things you wouldn't believe. I've got to talk about this. There was a story from the late 1800s about a kid. It was documented about a kid named like Wofford or Swafford who was making a fish dam in a creek. And some guy walks up to him and says, "Wow, that looks like a lot of work. Why don't you come to my house and have something to eat with my family?" So this kid goes with this guy and has something to eat with his family and sees a family friend of his family there, waves to the guy, eats. He gets tired after the meal and falls asleep. Well, the next day he wakes up kind of half panicked and has the guy walk him back to where they came from. And the guy walks him part of the way, and he's in between like a orchard and a cornfield. And he's walking with the guy. After he gets halfway there, the guy says, well, basically I've taken you far enough. You can find your way the rest of the way, and turns around. And as the kid turns around, the cornfield and the orchard are gone. And he's spooked out, and then when he turns around, this search party is running up to him, which is his family and the family friend that he saw at the dinner. And when he's trying to figure out what's going on, he says to the guy, "Why didn't you tell them that I was with you at that house?" And the guy's like, "What are you talking about? We've been looking for you for days." But the most important part of this story that is overlooked is the part where they say, "You've been gone for days, and the whole time you were gone, we heard rhythmic drumming from the woods where he was missing. But we couldn't place where it was coming from. When we would get in there, it would move. It would move." Now, this was the late 1800s, early 1900s. This is ELF. This is ELF, and this is something that happens in nature. And what these psychopaths have done is figure out how to recreate something that happens in nature. And that's where some of the missing 411 cases are coming from. This is where targeting is coming from. This is where it's all coming from. It's manipulation of ELF frequencies, even visuals, because it's a mix of ELF, dirty electricity. They're just cross frequencies. And what is electricity? What is light? What are all these things that people are talking about? They're frequencies. Everything comes down to frequencies. All of it. So, the kid was missing. They heard rhythmic drumming. I took the ELF frequencies and low frequencies that I've discovered they are using, and I put them together to show you some rhythmic drumming. All I've done is take these, let's say, 4 ELF frequencies that you can't even hear normally, and put them together, and they're creating what is a beat frequency. And this is the rhythmic drumming that people talk about hearing. If you can imagine, this wouldn't be loud. It would be sort of faint, and when you were in its vicinity, you wouldn't be able to tell where it was coming from. You would think it was to your left. You would walk to your left, it wouldn't be there. Then you would think it was to your right. Walk to your right, it wouldn't be there. Forward, backward, it would all be the same, just like when people try to search for voices in their house. And it seems like it's coming from the other room once you get in the kitchen or whatnot. So, with that said, I want to show you rhythmic drumming. That's like a full-on jungle beat. Now, if people heard this in 1899, they would absolutely believe 100% that this is rhythmic drumming off in the distance. This is ELF, put together. Does that happen in nature? Absolutely. Now let me show you this one. This is just a different mix of ELF frequencies. So that is your rhythmic drumming. I am going to override the system by playing low frequencies, and I'm going to trick their auto gain system. I use this combination of ELF waves to overdrive the auto gain system. And this went on for some minutes, and then I took the recording I made and then removed the ELF frequencies that I had recorded with. What is left is their system brought out to the forefront for all its glory. So, let's show you that. Play it right now. Isn't that a cute voice there? Let's listen to that one. Just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy. And there's voices that sound like they're half shouting in the background. Then there's the voices that are, sound like they're flat up against the tape. And then you have the really low ELF type voices that seem to be mumbling and monotoning along. It's a cattle cave of fun. And it sounds like there was lots going on in my house, and there was nothing going on in my house except for playing those frequencies and recording. It was silence. Let's play that part over. Let's loop that. want to show you some key points to this. Here's a friendly voice saying, "You're gonna die." Check this out. It's kind of scratchy, sort of whispery. "You're gonna die. You're gonna die." I'm gonna loop that here. And if that's not good enough for you, to show you that this is nefarious and it's not just accidental, I'll show you a different version of that. You're gonna die. Right here is a really warped, robotic voice that says, "Please don't shoot me. Please don't shoot me." Let's loop that. Please don't shoot me. Please don't shoot me. So they're already talking about shooting and dying. I don't think that I have to go much further to prove that this isn't to make you a more positive person. So if you trick this by driving around in a car and recording, or by creating your own ELF frequencies or just low tones, anywhere from 1 to 60 hertz, you can trick this. You have to almost form a chord of notes, and they don't have to be in tune. You're just forming some dissonant chord, like vocal chords, and you will override their system and catch this stuff. And it is very real, and it is not here for your health. When you have a scratchy, creepy voice saying you're gonna die, you know that it's not there for the good of the nation. Please don't shoot me, and you're gonna die. Maybe I've pissed somebody off. Maybe. Let's keep going on the original audio I recorded so I can show you guys something. Check this out. There's a voice right there that sounds female. It isn't. It's not a real female. And it says, "You don't trust me. You don't trust me." I'm going to loop that. You don't trust me. You don't trust me. Oh, there's another "you're gonna die." Alright, let's keep going. Wow, let's listen to that. This is in my house. Is this a demon attack? Ghoulies? No. But if this was my paranormal evidence, maybe I should lie. Maybe I should lie and say that it's ghosts and demons, and I'll have every paranormal crew in the nation out here trying to help me get to the bottom of it, instead of using their fucking heads and trying to help people get to the bottom of this, what it really is. These are weapons. So if you believe those voices are all just randomly made, then go back to your job, put your blinders on, and hang out. If not, it's time that people start really paying attention to what's going on. These kids aren't schizophrenic. People aren't just snapping and losing their minds. This is all a goddamn psyop, and it's been going on for years. It's a continuous psyop. And as I told you before, the Biden regime is taking place of the Trump regime, and now, just like Obama's term, I said that people with guns were going to pick back up. And what's happening? Exactly that. And what do you think's causing that? These weapons. And what's it getting blamed on? Mental health. It'd be like if I poisoned the water and then told you it was the sun doing it. That's how fucked up this is. I'd like to thank everybody for the donations, and I will talk to you guys soon. Look out for Charlie.